Hello, everyone, and welcome to Oh My Word with Katie, the show where we share stories of real life Christianity, the good, the bad, and the oh my word from believers who've been there. I'm your host, Katie Ginn, and I think these stories will leave y'all with some hope, some humor, and some practical life hacks. Today, I am interviewing Jamie Webster, who I knew back when she was Jamie Ainsworth. And Jamie is a model, an owner of a modeling agency, a stylist, a personal shopper, photographer. Her husband, JM, is a youth pastor, and they live in the cozy little cabin you see behind her in South Mississippi. We're going to talk about Jamie's journey with modeling and Jesus and cabin life and all the things. So, Jamie, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Of course. I'm so excited.
So, how did you get into modeling? A lot of people don't think of Mississippi as a modeling hub or a place where people do that. So, how did that happen for you?
I always have to tell the very original story. My dad, who was also in ministry, and he was a interim preacher, lots of different churches. I was 13 years old, and he heard one of those random cheesy calls on the radio that was like, "We need models, come to this scouting event." And so he took me and my brother, who my brother would have been, I don't know, 8 or 9 at the time. He was like, "My kids can go to this." That was so funny. My preacher of the daddy taking me to this model.
Yeah.
But the funny part that I remember, we went to the first thing and they were like, "Oh, we like them. Your kids are cute. We need some photos. And then you come back to this event." So we didn't know what to do, as most people don't, but we were like, "Okay, we need photos." So I think we got a disposable camera, or it's a little digital camera. This was all in Hattiesburg. So there's like that hospital in Hattiesburg. They got a big park and playground right in front. We literally went in the green grass area and we were just taking photos, my dad, mom, and my brother, in this little area. And then we went to the 1 hour print to get them, also telling my age, to get them printed so we could go back and say, "Hey, here's some photos." And we went,
Uh-huh.
and they did pick me to do the next thing. And then I got to do a real photo shoot, but it didn't amount to much. It was just kind of a silly little starting point. But I think for me, that will always be a memory of us taking photos in front of that hospital. Also, just my dad seeing something, especially when I did that first photo shoot. I was super shy as a child. And I think doing that first photo shoot, my parents saw something in me that was like bringing out some confidence and maybe start
Mhm.
out some personality. I was hiding in there and it just needed to unleash. And so, yeah, my parents got me started.
That is so wild because people think you're going to start modeling at 13 and they kind of like, ooh, scary. But for you to have your parents along the way must have made it a lot less scary and a lot less sketchy.
Yeah, I think so. And we kind of just trickled into it, like did little things here.
Mhm.
Like I had an agency in Chicago when I was 16, but I just got to do a few little test shoots. I was still too young and probably still too a little shy for them to really promote to like, "Oh, she can work." It was just kind of baby steps all along the
Mhm.
way, and my parents were with me every step. Thankful for that.
Yeah. What do you think it is about your parents that enabled them to say, we think this would be really cool and we think she could do it?
They've just always been supportive. They've always kind of allowed us to try different things. My mama really wanted
Mhm.
to be very well rounded. I could even go into that. I've been from everything to modeling camp to FBI camp. So, I mean, I've just done so many things. They just wanted us to have experiences, and they knew that would help build our confidence. And me, especially, because I was kind of interested in more artistic type things. My brother was more interested in sports. So I think they just saw that. I'm sure they had times they were scared, especially when I was in my 20s and went off by myself. The times they were with me, I just felt kind of like a team. My mama will still say, "We had no clue what we were doing." And she still acts like she has no clue what she's doing, but she knows more.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, for sure. So you said your dad was in ministry. For you then, when you started the modeling journey, where were you at in your journey with Jesus?
I think as a teenager, I was just running through the motions, just the typical, I go to church, I do what I'm told, I go this time and this time. I don't think it really clicked with me until as an adult, even in my late 20s, what a personal relationship with Christ is. It's just kind of like, "This is what I'm supposed to do. I go to church, I do this." It took a while for that to click for me, but I do think my parents laid that foundation. We always had talks. We always had prayer time. And I just remember my parents being a big influence in that for me. And of course, we go to church too, and different youth pastor churches and things like that. Grew up Southern Baptist. That kind of made that foundation for me. And then when I got into my 20s, just starting to travel more, get into modeling more, definitely a lot of feeling of uncertainty, or maybe that not sure who I was, maybe the identity crisis or whatever, thinking like, well, I'm a model, that's who I am. And even getting into the agency, well, I'm an agent now, that's who I am. And it took me a while to click, like, that's not who I am, those are things I do. And
Yeah.
I've been able to even, it's funny, this past January we had D Now with our youth kids, and that was the whole topic, was identity.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like even then it was just the part I was able to share with them, like my story through modeling and JA, and it finally just clicked. I was like, that's what it was. I was struggling with my identity.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So you said you kind of trickled into the modeling world. Was there a point at which you were like, I'm going to go for this for real? Like, this is going to be my career, or for a time anyway?
Yeah. Around 24, I got an agent in Atlanta. I was working in Jackson at Livy Story, and they were so good to me and letting me go when something would come up. And so I got that agent in Atlanta, just thinking, oh, that's an easy place to hop back and forth to be able to do this kind of on the side. And I started booking a lot in Atlanta. And then they were the ones who actually sent me to New York, and I got the opportunity to do New York Fashion Week. And so those were really cool experiences and a good time in my life. It unfortunately didn't lead to anything, and they weren't the best representation or got paid. I was trying to at least make a little money or see where it goes in order to try it, and so it kind of just became a thing, like, if this is how it works, then this isn't for me. I got to start
Yeah.
trying to make money somewhere, have a career somewhere. And then when I came back, I had little girls at Libby Story. Well, how'd you do this? How'd you go to New York? And I kind of started mentoring them. And so then eventually the agency just fell into my lap. But then I made myself a note right then, I'll never not pay anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
All the things and the horror stories you hear, I've been trying obviously to not do those things.
So you started JEA Modeling Agency. What year was that, and how old were you when you started the agency?
February of 2013. And so I think I was 25
Wow, that's amazing.
or 26.
Okay. And so that was based here in Jackson, Mississippi. So how does a modeling agency make money? Is it just fees from the models for certain services, or how does that work?
So there's several different things, but the big things are bookings and then placement. So if I'm booking models locally, we get a percentage of what we're booking models for.
Okay.
Or I'm what's called a mother agent. So I'll place models with different agencies around the world if they're going to New York or overseas. And then we get a commission of that because we're kind of like their manager. That's what a mother agency is. And sometimes we'll hold little workshops or things like that. Those aren't the big money makers, but there are things along the way models can invest in. Ultimately, an agency is on bookings and on the commissions.
Okay. Okay. So you went from modeling to starting your own agency. I imagine those are two very different roles, two different mindsets. What was the biggest whiplash for you in jumping to that new position?
Well, I think starting it, I came from a place of, I sort of maybe didn't have the best run of it or the best representation for me to really get further with a modeling career. I'm going to try to be better than everyone I had, kind of develop from there. But then, of course, as you get into it, you're just dealing with so many personalities, whether it be clients, agencies, or models, or whoever. And so I think that was a big thing for me because I'm a people pleaser and I take things too personally. And I just learn over time, you can't always take things personally, but trying to learn how to always still be nice or give grace or those types of
Mhm.
things when maybe you're not meshing very well with someone.
Yeah, I imagine that's kind of a rare quality, the giving grace. In the modeling or fashion industry, do people look at you weird sometimes when you are nice or when you do give grace?
I do think there's a stigma of like when you're going to northern places. I always tell people it's not that they're not nice, they're just not friendly up front. Us southerners are like, hey, how are you? Like we're just so
Mhm.
like bubbly and we want to hug. They're not necessarily like that. They got to get to know you first and then they'll be nice. So I'm always kind of warning models, like they might look at you a little funny if you start going in like blah blah blah, but then they'll come back once they get to know you, then they'll warm.
Mhm.
I think it's a Southern charm thing too. And then I just know that's something I think the Lord's been teaching me over time, how to give grace or being better at it, and I'm still learning. I think it's something that's always going to be a work in progress, or just always something that I need help with from the Lord. And you can't do that on your own because we're human, and I'm not always the most sympathetic. I just want to be like, come on, get it together. When sometimes you need to say, how can I help?
Yeah. So for people listening, whether they're interested in modeling or maybe they're a parent of someone who may be interested in modeling, is it as scary as people think it is? What are the things that people would need to know?
I don't think it's as scary as people think, but it is good to always do your research on whatever agency or whatever job that nowadays, well, take that back about the scary part. Nowadays, it could be a little scary just because social media is so prevalent and people are just getting contacted left and right on social media about come model for this, and just be aware that there are so many scams out there. I've had plenty of people make fake JEA accounts and they're trying to contact people to say we want you as a model, but ultimately they're just trying to get their info, get money. So there's just so much out there nowadays because of social media that you have to be aware of. So really do your research when looking into things. Then when you find whether it's an agency that you're applying for or you're trying to get on casting websites and stuff, just really take the time to go and research even the best ways to do it, what's going to impress the agents, what's going to impress the casting directors. And there's classes and resources out there that will tell you how to do things, whether you need to take your snapshots at home or you need to go to a class to have someone film your audition, or there's lots of things out there that people really can do if you just research and not send DMs. Don't send
Yeah.
DMs on Instagram. Just take the time to do research.
Yeah. Okay. When you were a model, was there ever a time or a job or a certain situation where you felt conflicted as a believer? Did you ever feel like, I don't know if I want to do this one?
I don't think I was put in too many. The one time that I was asked if I would take my top off and stand like this, basically covering your,
Mhm.
I just politely said no. And that wasn't something that was discussed with my agent or anything. So I just said no, but I said it in a nice way and we had a conversation about it and they were fine. They weren't mad about it. So I always tell that to my models too, because I think everybody's so scared of saying no because
Yeah.
oh, I might not get another job. The way I look at it, if someone truly gets mad at you, that wasn't the right thing anyway. This is your moral, your standard. This is what you are, then it's okay. And most people are okay with it as long as you say it in a nice way or tell them, I need to go call my agent for a second. And then me and the other agent will call them and say, hey, she's not doing that.
Right. Yeah. Let you be the bad guy.
Yeah, yeah. But for me, it really only happened that one time. And I just politely said no.
Very cool. All right. So you've done modeling, you started the agency, you've branched out into styling. At one point, you had a boutique called Mulberry Dreams in Fondren, which I loved. I still have my dress. What was it that drew you to branching out into these different areas?
I think a lot of them can intertwine pretty easily. I started the agency in 2013, but I had already had some ideas about starting Mulberry Dreams, which was also later that year. I had no clue what the agency was going to be. There wasn't one in Mississippi at the time. There was an acting agency, but not modeling. So I was like, I know some people need some help and some guidance, but at the time I wasn't sure what being a mother agent would be or how that would work. And so I think I thought doing the boutique would be more of my stable thing.
Mhm.
Then I was like, well, I have an office in the back. Like I can still go to the agency. Then after I think 2 or 3 years, I basically had to make a choice. I couldn't do both. And the agency was growing, or did I want to back off from that and really grow Mulberry Dreams? And I
Mhm.
just remember crying with my daddy and just telling him how much I just didn't want to give up JEA. And sometimes we let the pride get in the way. Oh, she's closing. Oh. And finally, when I made that decision and felt that that was what the Lord wanted me to do, I just said, all right, I'm closing my store. And of course, there was people that was sad about it, but I know it was the right thing. And then once I did, JEA kind of flourished and blossomed. And
Mhm.
this was a sign. The styling kind of happened. So during COVID, I placed models all over the world. They all had to come home.
Oh, yeah.
I was kind of like, oh goodness, what is my agency doing now? Am I going to have to get another job? I just had no clue. And then I kind of thought, what if I get out from behind the computer and advertise me a little more versus just the agency and bringing back the styling? And it ended up working and being a great fit. We've worked with basically all the ad agencies for tourism and things like that, styling
Mhm.
our local stuff. And I had a girl moving from Nashville, and I was like, hey, you want to be a stylist? So now I have a couple of stylists that I represent, not just models. So I've kind of turned that into an agency, a different division of the agency as well. And that kind of grew. And so that was just a blessing because that was the year, that was 2021, when really it was like, okay, there are jobs out there that we can be doing. And it was just so much fun to get out from behind the computer and go and travel around Mississippi and do those. And because of that, it's helped me grow the agency in a way of now I can represent different ages. I have kids now. I have adults up to 70 now because it's tourism, it's commercial. You need all
Yeah.
is to be part. So I'm not just doing the fashion models anymore. So I think that was also a God thing, that God was like, you're ready to work with a lot of people now. It's been fun. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've seen the stuff you've done with the Mississippi tourism using your models, but are you styling more so the clothing or the environment or both?
Mostly the wardrobe, the clothing. There's been a couple of times we've done some set designs, like if it was dinner table settings, it just depends on the situation. But most of the time, it's always the clothing is kind of our bread and butter.
So then where do you find all these wonderful clothes? Because anytime I see you or your models out, you always look great. Where do you shop? Where do you find stuff?
For me, I shop mostly at Poshmark. I sell stuff. So that's kind of my little trick. If I'm selling something and I get a little money, I might turn around and buy something. So it's kind of just a little fun thing for me. And I love the idea of reused and sustainable. I've probably changed a lot since owning a fast fashion store, but I've kind of gotten more into the sustainability of it. But it just depends on the client really and what is needed. A lot of the commercial clients are very just kind of your normal everyday wear, which you think would be easy, but the stylist, we can put it together and just make it a little more cohesive, a little more elevated. Like, and if you're styling a family, we're even making sure their colors are blending well or things like that. That might be harder if you just tell people to bring their own clothes. So that just depends. We go to different stores that we can return to because we don't use everything. So then we got to be able to return. Or if I'm doing more of like the model shoots, I might go and borrow from a lot of my boutique friends. So that way I can also tag them and feature them and they have some of the nicer stuff. Or sometimes we might rent something. There's some, Rent the Runway, Newly, there's sites like that you can rent. So it just depends on the client and the budget and everything.
Yeah, yeah. Next time I have a super chic event, I'm gonna have you style me.
Yeah.
All right, so you have your hands in a lot of pies. What does a typical work day look like for you?
So typically, I am at home in this cabin in front of my computer, handling bookings for the models, the stylists. I also have another booking agent that works with me. So I talk to her more than I talk to anybody. And so we're always talking about that. But I'm also the one still doing the day to day financial accounting, book work, paperwork, all the busy stuff. I do the social medias. So I've got 3 accounts now, all of that kind of behind the scenes. I think people probably don't realize I'm still a small business. That's what I like to remind people. I'm still very small. So
What's your favorite and least favorite part of your job?
I love being on set with people. If I can be, I love directing a photo shoot. I've gotten to do that for several clients, for bridal clients and salons, or just even being with my models at certain shoots. I love that, even though I work behind the computer more than I get to do those things. But I do love it when I get to be there with them. And my least favorite is probably just the book work.
Mhm. All right, so then tell me about the cabin. I know you said you can't give us a tour because it's not super presentable right now,
I
but
mean, it's kind of a mess. Well, we're actually going to be building a house this year. So we got a lot of things in the works. But this cabin was built when my parents were pregnant with me. My mom has got to find me a photo of her with a big old belly and she's hammering. And I need her to find that so I can frame it. My dad bought this land. I grew up maybe 10 miles from where I actually am. So it's still in our hometown in McGee. It was just going to be like a hunting shack or a place we could come and hang out or spend some Christmases or things. So it was not built to be a house. So, it has no insulation, no dishwasher, no bathtub. That's why we're going to build a house. I just want to have some modern amenities like insulation. No, it's been beautiful. I lived here about 4 years by myself before I met JM and
Okay.
got married here. And it's just such a special place to me over the years. There's a big lake outside. And so then he moved in and lived with me here. We did move back to Madison for about 2 years and bought a house when he was still at the restaurant. But then we decided we missed country life. And so we came on back and said we would live here until we could build a house. So
Yeah.
we're just
So,
camping, really.
so will you be building nearby or?
Yeah, it's not far from here, and we'll be building, hopefully expanding our little farmstead. We've got chickens right now and a chicken coop outside, so we want to continue that and then start to other things once we get moved in the house. So some gardening and some farming, and who knows what it'll lead to.
That is so cool. And I know that if people follow you on social media, they can see more of the cabin life because it's beautiful.
So if you like pretty and curated, don't follow me. But if you like randomness, it's going to go from like models to cabins to church youth group, then I'm your girl.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, speaking of the church youth group, I know you're spending a lot of time with them there. JM is the youth pastor at y'all's local church. It looks like so much fun.
Yes.
So between pouring into the youth and then your business endeavors, what, if you could sum up what you think your specific calling is in this current season?
I just feel like I'm in a place of, I will go back to that giving grace, but also just learning how to be more thoughtful and helpful in a lot of areas. When I was younger, and maybe a lot of people are like this when they're younger, you're just unaware when you're younger or don't think of things. My mama will do something and I'm like, why'd she even think of that? Or how'd she have time for that? And I'm trying to be in that place where I'm more thoughtful, just reaching out to people more, letting them know I'm here for them. I love them. I'm praying for you, different things like that, whether it be my models or my youth people or just friends. So just really trying to learn how to be there for people in more ways than just passing by and saying, hey. And so I think that that's something that's big for me right now. And when JM started, or when we had the conversation of him taking on the youth group, we were like, this is something we'll do together. This is not a one person job. And so I was fully on board. So I do feel like I have a second job and I absolutely love it. And so I knew that that was also my calling to help with him. I've also been working with teenagers for a while, even if it wasn't in ministry. So I just felt like I knew how to talk to them, how to be their friend. And I felt like that was something the Lord's given me all this practice in order to ready me for this. And then it took me a little while for my faith to click and like, no, okay, this is how you have a relationship with the Lord. And once that kind of clicked and I was able to do that, then I was able to be more confident in that relationship and then confident in everything else I'm doing and able to share about him with others. So I think that that's just been a big thing for me, is to keep growing and just being open day by day to what he has coming for us. It's been a really cool journey. I've really loved working with JM in the ministry, and we're at Goodwater Baptist Church, which is actually where I went to youth group.
Oh,
So yeah, we're back to where I was. So it's just funny. I always thought I'd be the one that moved off, and now I'm the one that's back. But I absolutely love it, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
oh. So then what helps you? You're talking about trying to be more aware and be more thoughtful with people, thinking more of others. Are there any like practical habits or spiritual habits or people or things that like help you do that on a daily basis?
If I stay more regular with my morning routine, which includes a devotion and a prayer time or things like that, I have a prayer journal that I'll even write down my prayers. And sometimes certain people are on my heart to write down specific things, whether they're going through something or somebody's about to graduate. So I'm trying to be better about when I am writing them down to just reach out to them or things like that. I haven't always been the best at that. I don't know why. I guess you just kind of think in your head, like, they know I'll help them. I'm here if they need me. They know that. But I think there is something to be said for like when you actually reach out to someone, or if you get texts or cards or whatever, like, oh, that was so sweet, so just trying to grow in that, to like confirm that I really am here, guys. I really am.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and for teenagers especially, I'm sure that that
Mhm.
really is impactful because
Yeah.
they're texting and they're sending DMs or whatever, but like
Yeah.
to receive a personal reach out from someone that's not just about, hey, what time are we meeting up? But it's like, hey, I'm letting you know I'm here.
Right.
Yeah, that's so
And
good.
Peter is they do it to me. So some of them are even better at it than I am, and then I'm like,
Mhm.
gosh, they're praying for me. This is so sweet. I think it's good that you can have those different people, whether it be the kids or whether it be their parents or just different people in your life who you are able to do that with. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
very cool. All right, we're going to go into our lightning round. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right, first question. What's your favorite thing about Jesus and why?
I just thought about this and I just think just how much he loves us and he always does. And you're never too far gone, no matter what you've done in your past, what you're doing, anything, he still loves you and he gives grace and love better than any of us. And if he can give it so good, that's why I need to try to be better at it.
Hmm.
I'll never be as good as him though, but I got to keep trying.
Yeah, amen. And finally, do you have a favorite scripture or life verse or any kind of Bible verse that's helped you through your career or just through your journey?
The one I picked for this, I've used before with girls in whether it be youth or in the agency, just because I think it applies so well. But I wrote it down so I didn't forget. Psalm 139:14. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know too well. And I just think that's so fitting. I just want to remind them all the time that you're beautiful no matter what. You're beautiful inside and out because God created you in his image. So
Hmm.
kind of goes back to that identity thing of what I said. It doesn't matter, what people think of you. That's just things you do. That's not who you are. So I just think that that's really beautiful and something I've used. And even one of my models has a song on Spotify that she wrote about that. And it's so beautiful. And it's literally about fearfully and wonderfully made. I've used it several times when I've sent things or made little videos or whatever. So I just think it encompasses the whole what I want people to know and how to grow in their confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jamie, thanks so much for being on the show today. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I hope I didn't ramble too much.
No, you're awesome. Thank you. And y'all, if you enjoyed this episode of Oh My Word with Katie, please share it with your friends because the more people we reach, the more we can share the joy that's found only in Jesus. Talk to y'all soon. Hey, ladies, if you want to hear more amazing testimonies from women of God, sign up for Mississippi Christian Living's Women's Retreat happening September 19th and 20th at Broadmoor Baptist Church in Madison, Mississippi. Our theme this year is Finding Our Worth in Christ, and we've got a great lineup. Keynote speaker Cindy Grace, worship leader Jennifer Adams, and a panel of women of God sharing their stories, all centered on finding our worth in Christ. Plus, we'll have time for just some great food and fellowship together. Visit mschristianliving.com and click the link at the top of the homepage to register. If you have a group of 5 or more, tickets are $10 off a piece. Again, visit mschristianliving.com and I hope to see you there.